Hey guys, so I was gonna review The Incrementalists by Stephen Burke and Skylar White, but I just didn't like it. I didn't. I read it and it was doing so good up until the last two chapters, and then it just all falls apart. One of the key things that makes it work, the author breaks, and it shouldn't work and it doesn't. And then the whole thing ends up being something that makes no sense. So I just didn't like the book. And since I didn't like the book, that's as much as I'm going to say on it. So rather than review this book today that I didn't like, and I don't want to give it any more time, I'm going to review a fan fiction for you guys. And when I reviewed the fan fiction, I was not wearing this outfit. So sorry about the costume change you're about to see. And roll clip. Today we're delving into fan fiction. Specifically, Marvel and Halo. Now, when I say Marvel, I'm sure a billion different things just came to your mind. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow. We're delving into the Spider-Man side, into a specific niche of Spider-Man fanfiction. I contemplated calling this a Halo x Venom crossover, because technically that's what it is, but technically that's not what it is. This story is about another creature of Venom species, the Clintars, being abducted from outer space, basically, when you arrive from outer space, and then getting experimented on until he escapes and finds our protagonist. Who is the protagonist? The protagonist is a clone of a girl that was abducted to be part of the same program that made Master Chief. The girl, her name is Daisy. The clone starts out the story with her name is Daisy. This story is officially titled Halo Nightstalker by Torino Deguzman on Royal Road. This story is also available on Fanfiction under a different title that I will put in the description below. But when I review this story, I'm just going to say Torino because it's much easier to pronounce than the name that he gave himself over on Fanfiction. But yeah, there's only so many names on the internet, and you have to add some numbers after a while, and anyway, Torino wrote this wonderful story that I read through it and I just could not get enough of it. The idea of a benevolent Venom, basically, helping out a clone with a degenerative disease that is slowly taking away her ability to walk and to run and to do all this fun stuff, but helping her instead, basically like rewriting her DNA and helping out so that she can be a normal kid again. Okay, not kid, she's somewhere between 14 and 16 when this story is written. I believe she's 14. Right. Okay. I came into this story because I was asked to proofread it, and the story itself, the concept, and the reading of it are all really good. Torino just had the very, very common problem of punctuation of quotations and such that I'm not even going to knock that as a thing off of my star count at the end of this, because that is just, everyone falls victim to that, so I'm not gonna knock it. At the time of recording, at the time of review, there is a prologue chapter and 3 chapters up available to read. When this video comes out, I don't know how many chapters there'll be. I would love it if there's a 4th chapter because I enjoyed this so much. Trigger warnings for this story. I have no trigger warnings in the prologue, chapter 1 or chapter 2. Not any major ones, that is. If you are somebody who has experienced a significant medical diagnosis that required extended hospitalization, you might not want to read chapter 2 because nothing graphic happens, but the main character does spend some significant time in a hospital around very sick people. And yeah, something not so nice happens. So, but unless you fall into that specific life situation that you've had that happen, it's not even a trigger warning. It's not a problem. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is bloody. Very bloody. I would put that definitely as the M rating that it is on fanfiction. Prologue through chapter 2 is an E10 for video games, or like a low teen rating. It hits the fan in chapter 3. So keep that in mind when you read Don't Be Eating Anything. The reason I love this story so much is that it puts together two fandoms that I don't see together very much. Personally, I don't see much Halo fanfiction. I didn't know that there was much of a lore beyond something that happens with Cortana in Halo 4. And I knew a lot about Marvel, about Spider-Man specifically. Like a lot about Spider-Man. That is my fandom. But I've not seen a lot of Venom or Clintar fanfiction, so it was so fascinating to watch these two fandoms interact with each other. And I enjoyed it every step of the way. I honestly wish I could have read this without proofreading it, because I would have enjoyed it so much more. I could have just let myself go in the story and enjoy the deep world that Torino has created. For enjoyability, I give it a 5 out of 5 on all 4 chapters. Family friendliness, I give it a 4 out of 5 for prologue in chapters 1 and 2. It is not family friendly in chapter 3. Do not read with a queasy stomach. But definitely read it, because it is so good and I loved it so much. I cannot squee about it enough. So, I've gotten in the habit of saying so a lot, and I need to stop that. Anyway, that's what I have to say about the story. I'm going to put a link in the description below so that you can read it on either Fanfiction or Royal Road. Give it a review, give it a read. I loved it so much. I can only say that so many times before I start to sound like I'm compensating for something in the story, and I'm not. Bye, guys.